there for it. I rushed to one side and squealed as he tried to shove me again.
Weave?
I managed to get back.
I know how weaving the fuck out that shit.
It had been a week since I started working at the Circle K a few blocks from my house. I just graduated from high school, and instead of spending my summer free of responsibilities, I chose to get a job to start saving for my first college semester.
Smart move. Smart move.
Most of my shifts were taken, so I considered myself fortunate to snag the graveyard
Take notes, kids.
shift.
Take notes.
I lived in a smaller town, so it wasn't unusual to see a lack of customers. I didn't exactly enjoy being up all night, but at least it was peaceful. I spent the majority of my time with my creepy coworker, Jim. He was a short, older man with a bald spot on his head that reminded me of George Costanza. He was pale and plump. His gut was round and indicated he'd pounded one too many beers on his days off. His eyes were beady and sunken in. They hid behind thick glasses, yet still managed to give me the chills when his gaze would meet mine. I'd catch him staring at me sometimes, until I felt so uncomfortable that I'd have to turn away. I assumed he was a loner. He didn't interact with me or anyone who came into the store. The only thing that would bring him to life was when we'd get the occasional unruly loiterer outside. His solemn mood would shift to anger. He'd shout, ball his fists, and make threats that would scare them off. As crazy as it seemed, it was effective. I felt safe. One night, as I bounced into the store, feeling energized and ready for my shift, he was standing behind the register, his face red and sweaty. He wiped his forehead with the back of his wrist and looked up at me. "Claire," he grumbled. "Hi, Jim. You okay?" "I'm fine. Listen, stay out of the restroom. Something's wrong with the plumbing. I called the manager. They'll have someone come fix it in the morning.
So
If
he's
you
not
need
even.
to go across the street to the diner and use theirs. They're open all night."
That's right. She said he was her coworker. Why does she sound like a man? He usually has female voice actors. I don't know why he has a male voice actor.
He furrowed his brow and pushed the bridge of his glasses up with a pudgy index finger, then huffed. Okay. Thanks for the heads up." I gave him a confused look before clocking in. I didn't exactly like the idea of going out of my way just to pee, but our store was small and only had one unisex restroom, so I didn't have a choice. Jim didn't seem like himself at all. He'd never spoken so many words to me in one night, and he looked exhausted. Perhaps he and the plunger had duked it out in the restroom and he lost the battle. I chuckled at the thought as I began my shift.
That motherfucker shitted.
A few hours passed and I was busy restocking items in a corner near the restroom. I was humming one of my favorite songs when a loud thump startled me. "What was that?" I yelped. Jim rushed over. "What was what?" he demanded. Another thump was heard and I jumped. "That noise!" He grabbed my arm and yanked me away. "It's the pipes. I told you something's wrong with the plumbing. Don't go in there." "I wasn't going to," I stammered. It was just the pipes." Jim scowled at me, and then...
That's one thing I learned about killers and serial killers from watching like documentaries and stuff. They always eventually end up fucking telling on themselves. If you would just keep... If you would just keep fucking cool, bruh. Keep cool, bruh. You making a big scene out of nothing. She wasn't even finna go in there. God damn.
Turned away to help a customer who'd walked in. A few hours later, he announced that he was heading across the street to the diner and would return shortly. He handed the mop to me and told me to finish what he'd started. I did what I was told. As I moved across the floor, sliding the mop around, it happened again. The thumping. I froze. I was no plumber, but the noise I was hearing sounded nothing like pipes. I set the mop aside and held my breath as I inched closer to the restroom and placed my hand on the knob. I turned it slowly. I was going to find out what it was. I let out an exasperated sigh, realizing it was locked. I reached for the mop so I could get back to work, but paused when I heard it again. It was getting louder. The hairs on my arms and back of my neck prickled. My heart raced as I tried to swallow the lump in my throat. I rushed back to the door and pressed my ear against it. The thumping continued. Curiosity had gotten the best of me, so I hurried to get the keys to the restroom, but couldn't find them. I quickly searched for something to pick the lock. I found a paperclip and shook my head, knowing it probably wouldn't work, but I had to try anyway. I grabbed it and ran back to the door. I bent it and poked it in the keyhole, wiggling it around. I stopped and my eyes widened when I heard the entrance door chime. Jim was back. I didn't say a word and listened as he walked in. I looked over my shoulder and saw him standing behind me, staring.
God
I
damn.
told you not to go in there, Claire. You don't listen. He
She
spoke
don't listen.
with a grave tone as he slowly inched closer towards me, his eyes burning into mine. I don't think that's thumping in the pipes, Jim. I need to check it out.
Why?
Where are the keys? I
Why?
turned to
Why?
face him. I tried to sound bold despite the intimidating expression on his face. I have them. Don't worry about it. Get back to work. He pointed towards the register and snapped his fingers. No, I'm going to call the manager. This is crazy. I pulled my cell phone from my back pocket, and that's when he lunged at me. I screamed and tried to get past him, but he shoved me. I fell back against the door. His solemn mood quickly switched to one of anger, and I panicked. I remembered how angry he'd get with the loiterers. Stop, Jim, please! You're scaring me! I begged. His face was flushed and his fists were clenched. You girls never listen, do you? His voice was hoarse and his eyes darted from side to side. He was contemplating his next move, and I didn't want to be there for it. I rushed to one side and squealed as he tried to shove me again. I managed to get back.
I know how weaving the fuck out that shit. Bro, what you said?
Past him and tried to bolt for the door, but his stout
Yo, this shit
body was
hilarious.
faster than I'd expected, and he wrapped his arm around my waist, stopping me. His breath was hot and heavy on my neck. It looks like I'm gonna have to punish you too! He grunted into my ear and squeezed his arms tight around me. What the hell are you talking about? Let me go! I reached back and dug my nails into the side of his face. He cried out in pain, letting go long enough for me to push away and try to make a run for it. I looked back and saw him following. His eyes seemed glazed over as he growled like a crazed beast and screamed profanities at me. Blood dripped from his cheek. A few buttons on his work shirt had busted off from the struggle. And his
he just fat as
repulsive
shit.
gut was exposed as he
Nah, that nigga just fat.
heaved himself at me once more. I was almost to the door when my foot slipped on the wet floor. I fell forward and landed hard, my head making a sickening thump as it met the tile. My vision was blurred as I looked back at Jim. He hovered over me and grinned, seeming proud that he'd won. My eyes fluttered, and everything went black. When I came to, I was in a hospital room with my mother. She explained that just as I had passed out, two large men entered the store and saw Jim trying to drag me to the restroom. They called the police and were able to keep him detained long enough for the authorities to get there. But what made my heart nearly stop was that she informed me of what they'd found in the restroom. It was a girl, gagged and bound. The thumping I'd heard had been her kicking as she struggled to get my attention that whole night. Jim told the cops that she was trying to shoplift, and he locked her in there as a form of punishment and was going to deal with her after his shift ended. The incident still gives me goosebumps to this day. Needless to say, I'm glad we both made it
That
out
right
alive.
there.
But I'll never be working at another convenience store again.
That don't matter. That right there is a clear case of people taking their damn jobs way too fucking seriously. Way too seriously. This man said he go punish her himself. He go take care of it himself. She was trying to shoplift, trying to take from my Circle K. It's over. You dying. You know what I'm saying? Like, bruh, get this man a raise. Oh man, he take the job way too seriously.
This happened on my last
this a
night
nice,
at the Circle
Circle
K
K.
outlet, where I had worked for
A little
almost
updated
3.5
one.
years.
Okay.
It was around 5 a.m. I was arranging the shelves. The assistant manager, Paul, was standing at the counter and watching some videos on YouTube. It was just the two of us that night.
I hope he watching Big Wolf TV on YouTube. Sorry.
I wasn't expecting anyone soon, but suddenly, a pleasant-looking older woman walked in. She was dressed in all black and had an expressionless face. She poured 2 cups of coffee and brought them to the front to see Paul. He greeted her, rang her up, and asked, "That'll be all, ma'am?" She stood there silently for a few seconds and walked back to the shelves. She kept staring at the products, thinking she'd forgotten something. Paul waited patiently for her to return.
Oh, how nice of Paul.
After a few minutes, the
So
woman
sweet.
came back with a packet of instant ramen noodles. Paul rang her up and again asked, "All right, that's all then?" She silently walked back and back over to the shelves. She looked at me with a look of slightly panicked confusion. At this point, I realized that this pleasant-looking older woman was well-dressed in all black, quiet, and was wearing a gold cross. I looked at her and looked at Paul and said in a low voice, "I think she's going to a funeral." I looked at the clock and said, "All right, I have time for this." It was about 5:35, and I wasn't technically off till 6, so I walked across the store to where she was standing. She turned and looked at me with the strangest, hollowest eyes. I looked at her with as much compassion as I could muster, and I asked, "Who was it?" She gave me a look like she didn't understand how I knew. She opened her mouth to answer and started to wail instead. She began crying hysterically, loudly.
Oh, Lord.
She threw her arms around.
See, there we go. There's one fun fact about me, bro. I cannot, for the love of me, I don't know how to comfort people. If that makes, I can't. Like, you crying in front of me, I'm just gonna sit there like this. I can't. For the love of me, I cannot. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it comes from. I just cannot. Like, I can't comfort people. Like, I don't understand it. I can't. I never was able to. I still to this day can't. But I try my hardest to work on it a little bit and try to be have a little bit of empathy towards people. Because I would want people to have empathy towards me when I'm in a situation like that and there's somebody in front of me and I'm crying. But it's like, I don't know where it comes from. I don't know what happened. I don't know what trauma I've been through or whatever the case may be. I don't know. But I can't. Like, I feel like you standing in front of me crying, I'm going to sit there like. And then see how she's like running towards him? I'm going to be like this, like. Kind of like just like, I don't know. I guess it's just me. I know a lot of people out there goes through that, but like, I don't know.
Me and collapsed on the floor by the coolers. Just a crumbled and broken person. I wrapped the woman in my arms. I held her while she cried, and I tried my best to comfort her with genuine concerns. She told me it was her husband, and there had been an accident. A sudden and violent death.
Oh, man.
And she blamed herself. After 10 minutes of the most soul-shattering crying you can imagine, I helped her to her feet, and I walked her out of the store into the parking lot. I ran back into the store and buy her coffee, and went back out to talk with her. She She hugged me and continued to cry.
Damn, like she won't fuck.
I talked to her about the fragility of life and how you
damn.
can't blame yourself for accidents, no matter how much you believe it's your fault.
I'm just fucking.
They're not.
I'm playing.
I didn't want to leave her in such a terrible state. Finally, after an hour, she seemed like she pulled herself together. She stopped crying, fixed herself up,
An hour?
looked at me and said, "What church do you go to?"
God damn.
Well, I don't
Pay
go
me
to
after that.
church. Why not?
And pussy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's not really for
what's
me.
up?
Well, have you accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? No, I haven't. Well, why not? Well, I'm an atheist. The woman's face churned into disgust. You're a monster.
Wow.
I'm sorry. He who has not accepted Jesus will suffer an eternity in the darkest pits of hell. Being completely shocked by her sudden change of behavior, I moved away from her. She screamed, "You touched me! How dare you touch me with your unclean hands! You who dares make a mockery of the Bible! You who has turned your back against God! How dare you touch me! How dare you touch someone like me!" I nervously went back into the store while she screamed more and more obscenities at me. I walked behind the counter and Paul asked, "So, how did it go?" I was too stunned to answer, but I tried explaining just when the Circle K entrance slammed open and the woman re-entered the store. But this time, she looked nothing like a laminated wife. Her eyes were bloodshot. Her body was shaking in anger. Paul sensed something wasn't right, so he said, "Ma'am, are you all right? This place needs cleansing." What? Ma'am, we clean here every day. Paul, it's not what she meant. What do you mean? I told him how the woman thinks I'm scum here because I don't believe in God. Thinking this was just a lightheaded matter, Paul walked close to the woman to make her understand where she was going wrong, and that's where she did the unthinkable. "Help me! Help me! These men are taking advantage of me! Oh Lord, save me from these devils!" Saying this, she started ripping off her clothes like a lunatic. I quickly realized that she was trying to do. This woman was a nut job. She was trying to frame me and Paul as sexual offenders. Paul screamed, "What the hell is wrong with you? Leave, now, or I'm calling the cops." "Yes, call them." "So I want you to call them so I can show them what you're doing to me. Call them right now." Bloody hell. You think you can beat me? I have the Lord at my side. And the cops will too. After seeing how you ripped my clothes off, you two monsters will suffer the wrath of the Almighty's judgment. That's when I decided enough was enough. I looked
like this motherfucker really sitting here lying.
Cold voice. "You know we have security cameras all over this place, right? So no matter what you do to yourself to frame us is getting recorded with actual evidence. So even if your Almighty sides with you, the cops won't. Because the law doesn't run on belief, but on evidence. And we will have to show it to the cops when they arrive. Paul locked the doors so she can't run away." As soon as I said this, her face turned pale. She looked around the corners trying to spot the security cameras. Once she did, she took a few steps back and stopped making a scene she was making a few moments back. She then ran to the exit, opened the door to leave before we could lock her in. For one last time, she turned towards me and said something that will still give me goosebumps. "I'll never let you live in peace. Never. Never. Never!"
Why?
I left my job the next day. People might call me a coward, but I had this feeling that the woman would come back for me. And guess what she did the next morning? She did. With a gun.
Damn!
Luckily, Paul saw her.
It is not that serious.
And immediately locked the door so she couldn't get in. He called the cops, but the woman escaped just a moment while she heard the cop sirens approaching. I changed my address long ago. God, I hope I never see that woman again.
That's small ass TV. Alright, you guys, so that was 2 disturbing Circle K horror stories animated by your boy MJV Animations. You know I gotta watch my boy. You know I gotta watch my boy, man. Always coming through with the gems, man. This one was amazing. I actually like this one a lot. I was well invested. First one, I really did enjoy the first one a lot more than I did the second one. The second one, I was more so listening to the story rather than reacting and rather than giving commentary, simply because the first one was more engaging. But the second one was pretty good as well. The false accusations at the end was kind of funny, because I'm like, how does she not know there's cameras in there? Like, that was the part where I was like, damn, she don't know they got cameras in that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So when she found out, she was like, oh shit, let me go ahead and leave, you know, type shit. But yeah, across the board, 10 out of 10 animations. MJV, you always come through with that, man. Stories are amazing as well. If you guys want to watch this video for yourself, man, the link to the original video is down in the description. Also, the link to MJV Animations channel is down in the description as well. So make sure you have there and subscribe. Let them know that Wolf TV sent you. MJV, man, I really want to be a part of one of your productions, man. Please let me voice act. Please let me voice act. I'm begging you. Just let me voice act one of these characters. I'm begging you. I promise you, man, you won't be disappointed. Just give me a chance. If you guys want me to react to anything, man, just comment down below what you want me to react to it. I'll shout you out the next video. It's just that simple. If you guys don't mind, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. It really does help this channel grow, man. It's been your boy Wolf TV. Make sure you follow me on all of my social medias. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.